Richard Ramirez, the Night Stalker, haunted California residents during the mid 1980s. He terrorized more than 30 people, killing 13. He was also convicted in another 5 attempted murders, and his motivation to kill has weighed heavily on investigators and the public. Let's talk about suspectology, or the study of the suspect. Welcome to Profiling Evil. If you're new to our channel, thanks for joining. And if you're one of my university students or a longtime channel member, welcome back. And thanks again for all your support. Either way, make sure you're clicking on that like and subscribe button and ringing the bell so you get all of our informative videos like this one. Now let's talk profiling. The first solid murder that investigators linked Richard Ramirez, the Night Stalker, to was the June 1984 murder of Jenny Vincow in her Glassell Park, Los Angeles apartment. She'd be repeatedly stabbed and nearly decapitated. It would take nearly a year before the killer would take his next known victim. That victim would be 22-year-old Maria Hernandez, who Ramirez shot in the face with a handgun. She miraculously survived the assault, but the frustrated serial killer immediately went out and murdered Dale Yoshi Okazaki a few hours later. Then, inch by inch, piece by piece, the investigators began this painstaking task of putting together a suspectology, or a study of this suspect. It started at first by gathering information incrementally with the collection of things like physical evidence at the scene, fingerprints, footprints, and body fluids. Over the course of his crimes, Ramirez left nonverbal clues such as his pentagram drawings. He left verbal evidence when he uttered his demonic ideologies to a few of the surviving victims. But his verbal and nonverbal expressions would later be confirmed in a court hearing when he inadvertently shouted out his "Hail Satan" while displaying a pentagram drawn on the palm of his hand. Well, like the Night Stalker case, investigators, and frankly, you and I, look at public information on violent crime cases, and we can begin to evaluate some of the suspect information that becomes available. That old cop adage is still relevant. It's all about means, motive, and opportunity. And as we examine other pieces of information that are released publicly, even we can look at these high profile cases and evaluate the evidence against the growing pool of possible suspects being looked at in a crime. Some of the things that investigators are examining are things like physical evidence or eyewitness accounts. They can look at things like scars, tattoos, and clothing. And of course, there are really distinguishing things like smells. Think about distinguishing smells such as body odors, colognes, or the scent of cigarettes and that smell that it leaves on people. What it might mean and how it can help investigators eliminate suspects is really important in these kinds of cases. Now, in the case of the Night Stalker, identifying Ramirez's cases was slow, and it was costing lives. I mean, with every crime scene, there was another chance at identifying behaviors and evidence, but it was costly. People were dying. Bit by bit, the investigators came to know who this killer was, though, including his preferential victim selection. At one point, Ramirez was stopped by a police officer for a traffic violation, and the stop occurred just moments after a failed abduction attempt. During the stop, the reports online suggest that the officer jokingly said to Ramirez that he resembled the Night Stalker, the guy police were chasing. When Ramirez couldn't produce a driver's license, the officer had him stand in front of his car while he returned to his patrol car to run some background checks on Ramirez. Ramirez would later say that his mind was racing. And while the officer was in his patrol car running the checks, Ramirez overheard an attempt to locate about the attempted kidnapping on the police radio. He figured he was captured. But then he did something so amazing. He calmly drew a pentagram on the hood of the police car, and he was watching the officer. Well, before the officer could exit his patrol car, Ramirez ran into the dark, escaping once again. Well, even though he escaped, crime scene technicians located his fingerprint and they found a business card that belonged to a local dentist. In follow ups, they learned that the card led to dental records and some severe teeth problems that Ramirez was having. So the police were able to again continue to piece by piece this case together, obtaining dental records and something that they could use for imprints later on. Now, again, bit by bit, the killer's identity came into view, and police launched a public dragnet identifying the Night Stalker. It was a group of citizens who located and physically subdued Ramirez until police arrived, and subdue him they did. Boy. Well, the Night Stalker would eventually be found guilty of 13 murders, 5 attempted murders, and several other assaults. He would be sentenced to San Quentin Prison. That's where I would later interview him before his death in 2013. I hope this segment helps you better understand suspectology, or this study of the suspect. Take time and go back and look at my story map on Richard Ramirez and study his cases. It can help you better understand how important it is in the overall investigation to look at behaviors and suspectology. It'll help you also better understand other principles that we're discussing here in the Profiling Evil Academy. Now, folks, if you liked the video, I hope you'll consider clicking that like and subscribe button. Make sure you're ringing the bell and make sure you're getting all of our other videos. Thanks so much for supporting us, and we'll see you soon at the next crime scene.